Coolgrad videos, we are going to talk all about internships and job search. So this is a critical phase in an MBA or an MS or a PhD program, because most grad students like to go for internships where they can make some money and also get some work experience. So I'm going to give you some useful tips about how to find the right internships, how to apply for them, make sure you get all your credits for your internships, make sure you get a well-paying internship, and how these internships are useful in your career. First of all, let's try and understand some terminologies. What are CPT and OPT? So, CPT stands for Curriculum Practical Training. It's like the term given to an internship. It's like a period that you take off in between your graduate studies and you do an internship and you get back to the university. That is CPT. And what is OPT? OPT stands for Optional Practical Training. So that's like a period of time that the government gives you after you graduate in a foreign country, like in the United States. So after you graduate, you can work in the country as an intern, as an OPT candidate for about 1 year or 1.5 years. And during that time, you can apply for a H1 visa, and you can also get like a full-time job offer somewhere. So even if you get a job offer from a company like Facebook or Intel or Apple or Microsoft, you can join there as an OPT candidate and start working there full-time at the same pay. And then they file for your H1 visa. And if your visa is approved, then your status changes from OPT to H1. It's like the time you get to transition from a student to an employee in the foreign country. So CPT is kind of like optional. I mean, everybody doesn't have to do an internship. For example, if you're doing a Master's of Computer Science or MBA program, and if you have completed 2 semesters, suppose you went there in fall 2016 and you completed fall and spring semester, only then you're eligible to go on a summer internship. You have to complete at least around 2 semesters or 9 months in the university. Otherwise, you're not eligible to go on an internship or CPT. So you can do CPT for like 3 months, or you can take 8 months off, or you can take like 1 year off. It really depends. You can take any amount of time in between too. So some students, they go on CPT in summer and the whole fall semester too. So that's like about 8 months, from like May to December. Some people do CPT for 1 year, from this May to next May. So I think you can do it maximum for 1 year, CPT. It's like optional, okay? Some people don't even like to do a CPT. They don't even like to do summer internships. They just want to take a break. For example, if they've gone for fall semester and completed 2 semesters and it's really hectic, they just want to spend the summer in India, or maybe like skiing in the Swiss Alps, and maybe they just want to travel, they want to take a break. It's perfectly okay. You don't really have to do an internship. If you want to take a break, it's perfectly okay. But if you want to do a CPT, you have to apply for the CPT card well in advance, at least 3 months in advance. And then after you graduate, like 3 months before you graduate, you have to apply for your OPT card, and then you can work on OPT for like a year or a year and a half, and then you can in the meantime get a visa and work there as a full-time employee. So when are you eligible for CPT? Only after you completed about 2 semesters or 9 months in the program. So if you went there for spring semester and completed only 1 semester, you can't go for summer internship. It happened to me once. So you'll have to probably work on campus itself, for some professor helping in his research or something, or work in the library or in the cafeteria or something. But you may not be able to work in any company outside as a CPT candidate. So if you've completed only 1 semester, you'll have to probably work only on campus. They're very strict about these rules and regulations. Internal internships. Sometimes a professor might be able to give you an internship where you can work for him for like the entire summer, helping in his research, helping in a particular experiment, or helping him off-site in some company where he's going to be on sabbatical. You can probably go and work for him or something. So you can conduct surveys for a professor sometimes, or you can help in coding or programming or code optimizations. Or you can help them prepare content for their upcoming semesters. Sometimes, especially if a professor is teaching a course for the first time, he has to put in so much thought about how to organize the course and prepare PowerPoints and prepare the material to hand out as assignments and exams. So you can help professors in planning their courses. You have to talk to professors, reach out to them and see who has openings, who needs help, so that you can do an internship with them. Is it advisable to do an 8-month or 1-year CPT? I would strongly advise you not to do a long-term CPT. I've seen cases of students who completed 2 semesters and then took 8 months or 1 year off, and they went and did an internship, CPT for 1 year, and then they came back and took 1 or 2 more semesters and then graduated. And I've seen a lot of cases of students who took CPT time off, like 8 months or 1 year, and they went and worked and they saw what it feels like to earn in dollars or euros, and where they could earn a lot of money in these internships. And once they got the feel of money, they lost interest in studies. They lost interest to complete the program. And another problem is, once you go travel, you don't really save as much as you think you can save. Even if they are paying you, like, say, $4,000 every month in this summer internship or during CPT, you will be spending a lot of money in travel and in your air tickets, and then for your house rent, and you'll save only a few $1,000s. And another problem is, by the time you return from your CPT, all your friends and classmates might have already graduated and left. So you don't really feel like going back to the university. It happens to a lot of people. Remember, you went to the university with a goal. You want to graduate successfully. That is your goal. So a CPT can often be like a distraction if it's done for more than 3 months. If you're doing a summer internship for just 3 months, that's okay. You come back with some money, and that'll probably help you pay for your upcoming semesters, and then you graduate. But if you take long time off, you won't really feel like completing the program when you realize you can make the same amount of money without the degree. So 3-month CPT is okay, but 8-month or 1-year CPT, I strongly discourage you from doing it. When to apply for OPT card? If you're planning to graduate by May, you should apply for OPT card around February or March in that year. If you're graduating in December, you should remember to apply for OPT card in September or October. So nobody's going to come and remind you, like the International Student Services or the department is not going to remind you to apply for your OPT card if you're an international student. Like me and some of my friends and I, so we forgot to apply for OPT card in our MBA program. So instead of applying in February, I applied like in April. And then they took about 2.5 months to issue the OPT card. I got my OPT card in like mid of July. So after I graduated in May, for 2 months I was just sitting there doing nothing, waiting for the OPT card. Remember, you have to remember to apply for your OPT card about 3 months before you graduate. Nobody's going to remind you. So, and also once you have your OPT card, you have to find employment within, I think, 3 months of receiving the OPT card. And if you don't get a job anywhere, you can always work for some consultancy, as a contractor. You can always get some job, don't worry about that. So, guidelines to apply for your OPT card. So make sure you submit a photo of the right size and the right criteria. So it has to have the correct dimensions, correct background color, the correct format. Suppose they want an OPT card with a white background. They won't accept a photograph which has a gray color background or a red color background. So I've actually seen students whose OPT cards were rejected because they didn't submit the right kind of documents. The people at the USCIS can sometimes be moody and maybe cranky, I don't know. So there was a case I heard about a boy who applied for OPT card, and he gave a photo with a gray color background. It has to be a white color background. And they rejected it, and they gave him something called a request for evidence. So they asked for his another photograph. And the second time he again submitted it wrong in some way, I guess. Maybe his teeth were showing in the photo. You're not supposed to show your teeth in the picture. Or maybe his ears were covered by his long hair or something. And he submitted it wrong the second time. And they just rejected his OPT card. That means he had to go back to his home country. He had to return to India. So if they ask for a picture of a particular size with a particular background, with your ears being clearly displayed and no hair on your forehead and your teeth not displayed, you have to submit the right kind of photo. And one of my classmates, she submitted a picture with a gray color background. instead of white. And they gave her a request for evidence, and after 10 days, they issued her the right, OPT card. In my own case, I submitted a picture with a red background. And I told them, my employer is waiting, I really need this OPT card. I called up USCIS and I asked them what's going on. And I was surprised that they actually photoshopped the picture and they themselves changed the red background to white background, and they gave me the OPT card on time without even giving me a request for evidence and without asking me to resubmit another picture. I was really surprised. It was just good luck, I guess. And the university was like, what? Do you realize how lucky you are? I've seen students whose OPT card was rejected because of this. And yeah, I guess I was plain lucky, but don't count on luck. So if they ask for documents in a particular format, you have to submit it in a particular format. Introduction to finding good internships. So most students want a well-paid internship in a top-notch company or a fast-growing startup company. So they want to encash this brand name later. So consult your seniors and your professors at the university. They are really the best sources of information for finding the right internships. Do your research about where your seniors applied and which companies are coming for campus recruitment, offering internships, and prepare well for the interview. Do your research about the company. I have a whole video about how to prepare for interviews, how to answer interviews, so please watch that video too. So where to search for internships? Career fairs, there's career fairs that happen in all these big cities for graduate students, and if you attend there, sometimes they tell you outright that they don't sponsor visa for international students. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you can get an internship even though you're an international student. But a lot of them are cut off right there. Even though they may be very competent, a lot of companies, they just don't want to sponsor visas for international students. So career fairs are still a good source of jobs. And employee referrals. So if you have friends who are already working in some companies, and if they refer you, it carries a lot of weight. In America and a lot of other countries, a lot of jobs are offered through networking and personal contacts. So it's very important to know someone there let's say there are two candidates. A company like Facebook is evaluating two candidates. One candidate just applied on their website and they know nothing about him. Another candidate was referred by one of their internal employees. Who do you think they feel like trusting more? He's a stranger, okay? So regardless of how spectacular his resume may be, even if he's like half as competent as the stranger, they would probably pick the person who comes through an internal employee referral. Because it means they trust somebody, A trusts B and B trusts C. Therefore, A feels like trusting C. It's all about how much they can trust this new person. Employee referrals carry a lot of weight. Put in some effort to network and make friends and make friends with people who can refer you to jobs. So Craigslist, that's a very interesting website where you can search for a lot of internships in different geographical areas and cities. For example, in the San Francisco Bay Area, you can search for internships in different fields like QA or development or Salesforce. You can search for internships. Or you can search in Boston, search by geographical area, search by companies in many ways. You can apply directly on company websites too. That's another place to search. Dice.com, Monster.com, Indeed.com, LinkedIn.com, these are all good sources for jobs and internships. So these are some interesting tips I would like to give you about internship applications. Use a local address or apply. You mentioned that you already live in the city where you're going to apply. For example, if you studied in a slightly remote place like Arizona or Alabama or Wyoming, and if you're applying for a job in New York or in San Francisco, do you think they would pick you or they would pick a candidate who's already living in that city? They need to be able to trust that you're actually going to relocate to that city, and they don't usually trust people to do that. So it happened to me, like I was in Arizona and I was applying to a lot of internships in New York and in the Bay Area and so many places, and I was not getting enough interview calls. But the moment I changed the address on my resume and I wrote to them saying, I'm already in New York, I put like my friend's address in New York and said I'm already here and I can appear for the interview, And then I started getting interview calls, and then you can always say, can we do a Skype call instead? I sprained my foot or something like that. And you can probably have, if you need a face-to-face interview, you can do a Skype call. And you can always work around that. But if you tell them you're in some godforsaken place or in some remote place, they're probably not even going to call you for the interview. Unfortunately, that's usually the way it works. I mean, you don't have to lie, but you can always give your friend's address or your uncle's or aunt's address, like in whichever city you're applying to. So that'll at least get you through the door. And then you can always relocate and start working. Okay, these are useful tips. And employers usually prefer local candidates, even if they are half as competent as a candidate in another city, because they somehow are reluctant to believe that you will actually relocate to the city to take up this job. So be persistent and dynamic in pursuing the status of interview results and job applications. If you have just given your interview, it's okay to call them and ask them, hey, how's it going? What can we do to expedite this process? By when can I expect the results? I already have some other offers waiting. I need to know what to do. It's okay to call them once or twice, but don't make a nuisance of yourself. Remember, there's a very narrow line between being persistent and annoying. So there was one case I know about a girl who was in my university, and she was an American girl. She was offered a very top-notch position in a company. She was made a job offer, and this girl kept calling them every day, I believe, harassing them. Hey, when is my start date? When am I getting the, start date? I really want to start, and I've got some other job offers, and I'm getting frustrated. Look, when can I start? I really need to know. She was calling them every day, and they got so mad and annoyed that they actually canceled the job offer. It's that serious. They don't have to give you a reason. They said, I'm sorry, we are canceling the job offer. We don't want you. And there's nothing she could do about it. Don't make a nuisance of yourself, okay? So when you go to a career fair, do's and don'ts. So if you're a girl going to a career fair, make sure you wear like flat dress shoes, because you're going to be walking there all day in all probability. And if you're wearing high heels, you're going to come back home with cramps and you can't walk the next few days, and your legs are going to hurt a lot. So carry some spare bandages with you if you're wearing heels and you get shoe bites and you get wounds on your feet. So don't carry very heavy backpacks. So you can't carry it with you all day long, and you can't keep it anywhere, so it's another big headache. And people skills are very important. Regardless of how smart you are, how competent you are, if you have an attitude problem, or if you demonstrate poor communication skills, and if they feel in any way you're going to be trouble, that you don't fit in their organization culture, then they're just going to reject you. There are a lot of technically competent, smart people out there, but if they can't gel with the organization culture and the team, they're just going to kick you out. They're going to reject you outright. Even after they hire you, if they realize you don't fit in the team, they can just send you home. Be very careful about what you say to people at the workplace. Make sure you gel with them, make sure you don't disagree with them, don't insult people in public, don't hurt people's feelings. You have to be able to get along with people. When to apply for H1 visa? So the quota opens on April 1st every year, and there's about like 65,000 people as of now who get H1 visas. They accept about like 65,000 applications on April 1st every year. And the quota usually closes like within a few days of opening. So there are 20,000 H1 visas reserved for people who have masters and above. And if they get more than 65,000 applications, it goes through a lottery process. And if you're applying to graduate in May and you don't yet have a job, what you could do is find some consultancy to apply for a H1 visa on April 1st, even before you graduate. By the time your visa is approved and stamped and everything, it will be October before you can start working. And till then you can be on OPT. And by the time if you get a really nice job offer at Microsoft or some other top-notch company, you can tell them you already have a H1 visa and you can transfer the H1 visa to that company. Isn't that better than telling them, no, I don't have a visa and you have to sponsor a visa for me? You get some consultancy, there are tons and tons of Indian consultancies. If you look on Sulekha.com or other places, you'll see. But make sure you go to a consultancy that has a project for you for at least a few months and which is reputed. They don't do shady things. There are a lot of sleazy things that sometimes happen. Make sure you go to a reputed consultancy if you don't have a full-time job offer. Get your H1 visa even before you graduate, like file it on April 1st if you're graduating in May or even in December. And then you can start working, whenever you graduate. So that way, even if you apply to any American company or, foreign company, you can tell them you already have a visa and you can transfer it to the company. So your chances of getting called for an interview are much higher. So, working for a consultancy versus a full-time job offer in a big company. So, as a full-time employee, you have a lot of benefits such as human resources to address your problems, and then there's employer rules to protect you better. You have vacation, you have time off, you have sick leave, and you have relatively more job stability too. If you're fired, you can always fight for your rights and stuff. But if you're a contractor, like a consultant, you work there on an hourly basis. If you don't work for one day, you don't get paid. And as a consultant, you have more flexibility, however, to relocate to different cities. You finish one project here, you get another project in Atlanta, you can go to work in Atlanta. You get another project in Dallas, you can just go take it up in Dallas. But after a few years, once you have family commitments, it's not so easy to relocate. But if you're in a big metro city, you can always find another job there. So, also, after each project, you have to give interviews with the clients for the future projects as a contractor consultant, and that's not easy. After a while, it's not fun anymore. When you're young, you want to live in different cities, and you want to travel and see what the world is like. But after a few years, you might want to just buy a house and have a quiet and peaceful life, settle in one place with your family and kids and things like that. So. But if you're a full-time employee in a company like Google or Microsoft, your flexibility to relocate is very low. So if they have branches in multiple cities, it's okay. But if it's a company that's in one particular city, you're stuck there. So think about which city you apply in. Suppose you're in San Francisco or in the California Bay Area, like San Jose, or in the surrounding areas. Then you remember that the cost of living there is very expensive. And if you're stuck there, buying a house there, it costs like millions almost, like it's very expensive to buy a house in the Bay Area, for example, or in New York compared to Atlanta or Texas. So if you're there, you have to think about whether you really want to settle there long term. If you have another job offer, like in Atlanta where the cost of living is about 1/3, you might want to think about it. So there are so many factors that you need to think about when you apply for a job and take a job. Employee referrals for jobs. Most jobs in US and Western countries are offered to candidates who are referred by their internal employees. So make sure you have a good network and people who refer you to jobs. Many companies pick candidates even if they are half as competent if they come through a good referral, because it's about who they think they can trust. So this brings us to the end of this video about how to find the right internships and how to excel in internships. Good luck finding a good internship. Thank you.